Welcome to the Successful Woman Radio Show, where we are here to bring you information that will empower you with the tools and resources to start and grow your very own business. Hello, Queens. This is Queen Trina Newby, your host and business success coach, broadcasting to you live this beautiful day. And as always, bringing you inspiration, motivation, and ways to make your business, your dreams, and your ideas a success. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to you. And to all of my returning queens, welcome back. You already know this is where we get focused, we get aligned, and we take action. At this time, let us go to the Heavenly Father in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for every queen listening today. Lord, as we continue this journey of planting seeds for success, we ask for wisdom and clarity. Help us to make the right decisions, choose the right strategies, and Lord, align our actions with the vision that you have placed inside of us. Give us discernment to know what to focus on and what to release. Strengthen our confidence so we can move forward with boldness and intention. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. Let us now go to our theme scripture for the month, Hosea 10:12. It says, break up your fallow ground, for this is the time to seek the Lord till he comes and rains righteousness on you. Again, that's Hosea 10 and 12. Our April 2026 theme, again, is planting seeds for success. Just like a seed must be planted, nurtured, and protected before it can grow, your success requires intentional action, consistency, and faith. What you plant now will determine what you harvest later. Now we're going to move right on into our 5 questions of business leadership. Now, keep in mind that these questions are asked every single Monday. You will ask them of yourself as often as you need to. Remember, I said that each of these questions are going to give you a different answer, depending on where you are at in your business, whether you have achieved some accomplishments or whether there are some things you need to go back and work on, right? Starting with question number 1, will I commit to preparing my mind for greatness each morning? Again, will I commit to preparing my mind for greatness each morning? This is your daily foundation. And this is where you're going to combine 5 very important principles: prayer, belief, affirmations, personal power, and my favorite, unshakable faith. This keeps you strong and focused no matter what comes your way. Here's number 2. Am I being the CEO of my business? Are you making strategic decisions, or are you reacting and just doing whatever comes up? You know, this is very important because we have to take the role of CEO and very serious. No matter how small your business is, you are indeed the boss. You are the CEO, the creator of your business, which stemmed from your vision of what you wanted for yourself. So keep that in mind. Number 3, how can I strengthen my online presence? Again, how can I strengthen my online presence? You know, I attended a seminar this past weekend where the gentleman was saying that marketing is really the same. It is attracting people to what you have to offer. But what has changed is technology. Technology is growing. It is advancing, right? And so you're going to learn a little bit later on in the show. I've got a surprise for you. We have a special guest, but you're going to learn a little bit later on in the show that AI is really not something that you have a choice of. It's something that you really need to incorporate as you market and plan for your business. So are you planting seeds to actually bring visibility and leads into your business? Okay, because you must do this. Here's number 4. Okay. Am I prioritizing self-care? Again, am I prioritizing self-care and well-being during my entrepreneurial journey? You know, sis, I've talked to you guys about this so much, right? But nobody more than me, after having two major surgeries, nobody know more than me know now about prioritizing self-care. It was like God said, hey, you've been telling the listeners at Successful Woman Radio or to prioritize their self-care, and I'm getting ready to give you a living testimony so that you can prioritize your own self-care. And that's exactly what happened. Many of you know that I had a very serious surgery and it took a long time for me to heal. I'm still healing, as a matter of fact. But what I learned is about listening to my body, and not only my body, listening to my mind, right? Looking at what I need to do to strengthen my mind. You know, you cannot operate at a high level if you're constantly drained, you're constantly tired, or you're working so much so that you're not paying attention to what's going on with you. And literally, you know, keeping it transparent, that's what happened with me. So I have a whole new outlook on what that really means to prioritize self-care. And last but not least is number 5. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's my belief level? Again, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's my belief level? Check this out. Your belief will determine your willingness to actually take action. Yes, it will. And the one thing that, you know, we have to really pay close attention to is our belief. If things aren't getting done in your business, if it's been weeks, months, or yes, even years, where you've been talking about what you're going to do, but you've never actually put it into action, it has a lot to do with the belief in yourself. You know, I used to use this example, which I will use now, and that is if the bank called us to tell us that someone had left us $1 million and that they have verified everything, and I need to come down to the bank to meet the attorney. Even if I had a house coat and my hair was all over my head, I'd figure that thing out, right? But then they throw a challenge in it because it's okay, you need to bring your birth certificate or you need to bring your passport, and you might be scrambling looking for the items that they want you to bring. But then another challenge poses where they say you have to be there by 9 o'clock. And let's say they called you at 8:30, right? And the bank is about 25 minutes away. Oh, you're going to do what you need to do to get there because you know that it will cancel out on that $1 million if you don't get there. And just like we would believe that that $1 million is waiting on us in the bank, we have to have that kind of belief. The kind of belief we need to have in ourselves, again, is unshakable faith. That's that level of belief so deeply rooted that it compels us to take swift and immediate action on all of our dreams, on our goals, on what we believe in. Okay, that's very key. And so I want you guys to really pay attention to these 5 questions of business leadership. I want to remind you that if you need to talk about a challenge that you're having, if you're someone that you're really trying to get some projects started, you're trying to write that book, you're trying to create that webinar, you're trying to create a conference, you're trying to put a conference on, whatever it might do, or you're still trying to figure out how you can make money with your business, that's what a power talk is for. Now, I give 1 free power talk to any woman that requests it each year. It's a 45-minute consultation coaching session to help you gain clarity, focus, resources, and support for your startup, your idea, or your business. So again, to schedule your free power talk, head on over to womenaboutbiz.net. Again, that's womenaboutbiz, B-I-Z as in zebra.net. And then right there on the homepage, right beneath the banner, you will see the Power Talk box where you can go ahead and schedule your Power Talk. I'm so very, very excited because guess what? We have a very special guest. I've known this young lady for at least more than 20 years now. We were talking about how long did we know each other, right? And so I'm so very, very excited to be bringing on our featured guest, Charlie McCracken. I want to first, though, read you her bio. Charlie brings exceptional qualifications to deliver comprehensive AI training for her clients. With over 2 decades of marketing technology and project management expertise from her positions at PepsiCo, Assurant, and other companies, Charlie holds professional credentials for being an AI prompt engineer. She also is a web developer, internet business application developer. She does graphic designs and project management. So Charlie really knows a thing or two about technology and running it in your business. Now, as an AI practitioner, she creates AI-powered content, automation applications, and what are known as AI agents using cutting-edge software that helps her clients promote their products and services effectively. So along with her training, her practical AI expertise that extends to developing custom GPTs across multiple industries, she also has notably developed a suite of AI grant writing tools that will ensure funder compliance and high competitiveness. Now, Charlie is a graduate of Gwinnett Technical College and the proud owner of Atlanta Web Design, where she specializes in web design, SEO, AI development. And so I am so very, very excited to bring to you no one other than Charlie McCracken. Charlie, I'm fixing to bring you up in just a few minutes. Give me a minute and I am going to stop this presentation. Okay, there we are. So Charlie, you should be right there with me. Can you see me?
I can see you, Trina.
Okay, great, great. So I'm so glad that you are here today. We reconnected at a wonderful women's conference where you were also one of the featured speakers talking about AI development and what's going on with that. And I was, first of all, I want to congratulate you on a presentation well done. I really, really appreciated that. And I was taking notes as well. So, let's just get right into AI because that is a huge thing. You and I have talked about the fact that women have so many fears. We hold off on so many things, and what's happening right now is women holding off on things. But first of all, let's just set the pace with letting everyone know what are some of the repetitive tasks that women, who most of everybody on this show are solopreneurs, what are some of the repetitive tasks that women in their businesses can do with AI?
Thank you so much, Trina. Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here. And some of the use cases, which there are many use cases, and some I'll talk about, some people, others will report about, but most use cases are discovered with curiosity. But if you're a beginner, most AI participants, they do things like blog posts and strategies for content, they do creative writing, email campaigns and templates and things like that. They'll do social media posts and full strategies and content summarization. In other words, you can upload a book and not read it and get a summary from it, kind of like what we had when we had crib notes in college.
Yeah.
There's technical studying and learning that you can do. Anything that you want to learn, I always say, if you want to know if AI can do it, don't ask me, ask the AI tools itself. I get 90% of my learning has come from my curiosity and my investigations on AI. I've learned more there than all the 6 classes that I took to prepare me for this field. So there's newsletters, presentations, brainstorming, data analysis, which I like data analysis and reporting. It's a little bit more technical, but you can illustrate books with it. There's so many things that you can do. And of course, you can do grant writing now. So those are just a few of the things that are repetitive tasks that we do all the time that AI can do for us.
Absolutely. And, the one thing that we have to keep in mind is that it's not another Google search because because a lot of women get on AI and they just start searching like they would on Google, and then they stop right there, not realizing that AI is so much more than that. And as technology moves on, I'm sure it is going to get even more advanced. You know, Charlie, I feel like we're in the internet revolution again. You remember when the internet first came and everybody was trying to get on the internet. And I think at the time, there were a few phases of getting on the internet in the early days, and I'm aging myself. Charlie, I won't age you, but I'm aging myself because I was right there when I bought a cassette tape player from Radio Shack, where I had to actually put a tape in the player to connect it to a computer in order for it to even work. And that's letting you guys know that I really was there at the beginning of the internet, right? And then I remember, then we got CompuServe, we got AOL, we got several companies that were created out of that to make it a little bit easier with dial-up, right? So everybody had to go and buy a modem, and everybody had to connect their modem. And then, of course, AOL became the center front of everything at that time. And we all know the popular AOL phrase, "You've got mail," right? They even made a movie about it, right? And so again, things are moving rapidly with rapid pace, because now we don't need dial-up, right? We don't need dial-up. Our phone and cable companies handle all of that for us. And so the internet is growing fast, and that is exactly what is happening with AI. So Charlie, why is the rate of AI adoption for women slower than with most male entrepreneurs? It seems like the men are really moving faster with AI. When I look at TV, when I look at a lot of videos online and YouTube, it's the men that seem to, we've got some women out there, but it seems like it's the men that are really taking over with this AI thing. What's going on there?
Well, women are the caretakers for the world. And so we're going to have a few more concerns and fears for how our data is being used and if we can AI. One of the reasons that we don't adopt it as early is that we have fears. Is it going to be okay for my family? We always start from home first. We sweep off our own porch. Is it going to be okay for my employees to use? Is it going to be okay if my doctor is using it? We're looking at it in a different way. And because there are biases built in, because this is a male-dominated industry, and the people who created it didn't necessarily buy it to soothe the fears of women. Nor can we prove that the tools were made to meet our needs. Most of what we have to do in business is we have to get into the market, and we have to adapt to the market that already exists. And that's one of the things that's holding people back, along with a lot of myths and fears and bad movies about AI.
Yeah.
But we are the caretakers. We're really concerned that these providers are acting in fairness and that there's no real potential harm to us and the people that we care about. So understand there's going to be some costs.
Gotcha.
Another thing, capabilities. Very high capable women can come in and they can use AI, but they have a doubt about their technical abilities. Well, AI levels the playing field. We don't have to have all of those abilities. But because it's a male-dominated industry and these engineers are putting it together, they believe that it may be too high-tech for them. And it definitely is not. It is made for the end user. And it's made to be user-friendly. So some of the things that we're afraid of, we just need to learn more about the products. And that's another thing. Some women won't bring it into their business until they know everything about it. And that's really impossible to do because it's growing at the speed of thought. That's the best thing. And so it's causing a lot of fears for women. And then there are women who have been very, very successful in their businesses and they think they don't need it.
Okay.
So it's not about holding you back. It's about propelling you and changing the trajectory of your success, making it stronger, more enforced. So those are just some of the reasons that research shows that men are not concerned about those things at all, but women are.
Absolutely. Now, I have been talking to a lot of women and really getting the pulse beat of where they are in AI. And I know some women have been using AI for a year or two. I know I have, but I've learned more about it from taking a lot of courses and listening to you at the conference about just how far reach this really is. Um, a lot of these women have told me that, oh yeah, AI helped me to write a book. And I said, oh, okay, is it out? No, no, it's not out. I said, well, how long ago did you put everything together? Oh, about a year ago. Women are still dealing with that procrastination thing. And I think AI can help with that too. I think AI can help with that too, because I set up an AI agent as my assistant to remind me and to go into my email and give me my priorities, and to set up certain things for me. And it did just that. And it really was very, very helpful. When I told AI I had an issue with procrastination, it recommended to me what it was going to do to help me get a certain project on the way out, right? And so again, I just thought to myself, as it was doing that, I thought to myself, my, isn't God amazing? Because here is yet another piece of God's plan. If AI wasn't, if AI wasn't here, it means God didn't mean for it to be here, but it's here. That means God meant for AI to be here. It's another part of technology. And so we can't be afraid of it. We need to be utilizing it for good. And I think this is just another way that you can be queen of your own empire. You know, you can put all of those different things that you've been planning to do for your business. It can literally exponentially boost you forward like a rocket. So Charlie, for the women entrepreneurs who are skeptical or nervous, what are some of the things that they should be doing first to really get acquainted with AI?
Go ahead and learn more about it. Take a class. Take a formal one that can show you how it's made, what it's made for, and what it can and cannot do. I think understanding those boundaries will help you get in where you fit in, for lack of a better term.
I agree.
Where you fit in and how you can use it to support yourself. And then experiment. Women don't have a lot of time for experimentation, but experiment with it and commit yourself to potentially 30 days. I know I have a book that I give away at the end of my training classes called the 30-Day Roadmap. And every day they're supposed to spend 15 minutes doing one little thing until they get used to it. Because you're going to learn more from experimenting than any class will ever take. But you should not miss that first formal class that teaches you what it is, how it works, and what it can and cannot do. Everybody should at least have that, know what you're working with, so that you can do with it. So, absolutely. And then some personal things. Don't add it to your business yet. Ask it to do a meal plan for you for 2 weeks. Or ask it to do with their homework. Or something, get some gardening advice. Like, get used to using the tools. Because just like gardening, nothing will grow if you don't put your hands in the dirt, like what you were saying before, if you don't plant those seeds. So something that you're comfortable with. And don't put any personal information in. So you're just a number. Don't put any personal information in. So there'll be nothing for the tool to use or to remember about you. And just get familiar with it. But I don't agree with women just not using it just because they have some fears. We're being forced to use it. Yeah. And so playing around with it, playing in the dirt with it for a while, help people find the value. Because if there's no value, then there's no use case for them. And that's what I think they should do. Just play around with it. Use it for personal things. Don't put any personal information in, and test it and try it. Ask it a few questions. Do a little research. How it can add to your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also want to bring up for those people that are already, let's say they're intermediate, they're in using AI. I want to bring up the topic of not just copying and pasting on a document that can you address that, Charlie? Because so many people are, and it's a mistake, because people can now tell when AI has written something. And
That is true.
that is causing distrust. That can cause distrust amongst people who maybe are purchasing products from you or what have you. So Charlie, address that just a few minutes.
Sure. That's what people are doing, like you say, Trina. They're copying it and cutting it out and pasting it, and then they're using it. First of all, that in itself is unethical. Have you read it? Have you reviewed it? Is it in your voice? Does it really relay the message that you want to relay? Probably not, because you probably haven't given it enough information. There is a way that copy, cut, and paste can work for you, but it's after you planted some seeds. It's the worst thing in the world for us to look at a website and see an M dash. Well, we know right then and there that AI, we doubt the authenticity of it. We doubt if we're going to get what it promises because some machine did it instead of a human being. Instead, especially in ChatGPT, instead, what you can actually do is, if you want to cut, copy, and paste in ChatGPT, there's a feature called the canvas. And on the canvas, what you can do is you turn on the canvas, you ask your question, it will give you a response. You go through the response thoroughly, make any changes that you want right in ChatGPT. You're in a position.
Very good info.
Right, you've had some human intervention. People don't want it going from the machine to the paper and expect to get profits from that. That's not going to work at all. There has to be human intervention. These tools are not as accurate as people think. They're not perfect, and they're no magic. They're no magic pill, which is a myth that a lot of people have. It can do this for me. It can do that. Yes, it can do those things for you, but in draft mode, not the final mode. So that feature in ChatGPT, that canvas, is very, very valuable for you to get a response that you can cut, copy, and paste because you've intervened and you proofread it and you made your changes in it so that it
absolutely.
The other problem is it uses a writing style called clinical. Clinical is not how we talk. And since it's based on patterns, if it doesn't have a pattern of work that you've written already on your own, it's going to give you this clinical output. And people are going to go to your social media, they're going to read your blog, they're going to look at your website and say, she didn't write this, I know her. So it's not a good way to go.
Absolutely. I know one thing my daughter brought up to my attention too, is she was saying, Mom, are you aware that ChatGPT uses a lot of dashes in its writing? Yeah. And I said, you're absolutely right. She says, you need to make sure you go back and tell it to not do dashes, that you want standard American grammar, because that's another thing that gives even professors and universities that the tip that, hey, this student is using AI. A lot of students have really got in trouble for that, and we can get in trouble for that just with our customers and our clients, because when they don't trust us because they feel like, oh, if they can get it from AI, I can, so I don't need them anymore. Consumers start thinking all kinds of things. So we have to make sure. But I just wanted us to address that, Charlie, because it is a big deal.
It is. And there are AI detectors out there that we can use for free, but you can best believe professionals are using AI detectors. They're running resumes through AI detectors, bios through AI detectors, website, social media contact. They're running it through, and it gives you a percentage. It says that this particular piece is 90% AI. Or 90%.
Wow.
Or if it's 80% human, a human probably did write it. So those AI detectors, some of them are still free that you can use to look. And I used to run people's website stuff through it just to prove my point.
Got you.
Right. So other people of power and importance who we need, people who write checks, they're using AI detectors.
Wow, that's amazing. So there's just so many amazing things, and we can't cover it all on the show. So I'm very excited to let you guys know that Charlie and I will be partnering together to do an AI webinar. We're very excited. We want you guys to mark your calendars for May 20th. I believe that is the date, May 20th, from 12 to 1:30. And you'll get more information out there. You know, stay in tune with Women About Biz. For those of you in the Crown Club, we'll be getting that information to you as well. So again, we can't cover everything today, but we wanted to wet your whistle and just talk about some things that you need to really get a better understanding of as it's regarding AI. And just the fact to know that even if you are using AI, trust me, you don't know everything it does. I don't, right? It's a constantly evolving. So again, I just want to remind everyone of that. Charlie, thank you so much for being on the show today. And of course, you're going to be coming back, right? You know, I'm just going to claim that right now. And
Absolutely.
yes, and I'm so excited that we reconnected. And I'm so excited that we're doing this AI project together as far as doing this webinar. That's going to be exciting because we're tailoring it just for solopreneurs, because most small business women are solopreneurs. So again, congratulations on being that AI expert and speaking. And again, if you guys need Charlie to speak on your podcast or speak to your group or your network, definitely connect with her. So Charlie, tell them how they can connect with you.
Sure. I can be easily reached at ATL, short for Atlanta, short for website, Force, F as in Frank, ORCE @gmail.com. So it's ATL Web Force. That's my website and that's my Gmail address. And I'll be happy to talk to you. If you need to talk to me via phone, you can call my business line on 404-704-2197. And I'd be happy to talk to you. It would be my pleasure.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so very much for being on the show. And you can go ahead and mute your phone, and we invite you to stay on as we look at other things that we're going to be doing and talking about. Everyone remembers about planting the seeds, and the one thing that I want to remind everyone of when it comes to planting seeds and looking at what is supposed to happen when you plant seeds, and what does it really mean, right? What do you do when you plant seeds in the ground? When you plant seeds in the ground, it basically has to have something to happen. You just can't plant the seed. First of all, there are different seasons that you plant certain things. In addition to that, there's certain types of soil that you're going to need. You can't go and plant a seed in, hard soil. I'm here in Georgia, and let me tell you, it's hard to raise stuff in that red Georgia clay. There's a lot of things that you've got to do in order to soften up that soil, to nurture that soil, to fertilize that soil. And that is very, very important. And so I just want to remind you guys of that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. You guys aren't going to believe this. My mouse, which is battery operated, decided that it wanted to lose power and not come back on. So that prevents me from actually going in and doing what I need to do. So what I'm going to do is still do the show. I'm going to talk it through. Charlie, if you could put yourself on your video on mute, that would be good. And I'm going to talk the rest of the show through, because this information is just too good for me not to give it to all of you. And so again, remember, our theme is about planting seeds for success. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to give all of you this information. There are 5 points that I want to share with you in reference to creating a business strategy that's the right strategy for your business. Because as I said, there are all kinds of seeds that you can plant, but you can't plant them all during the same time of the year. You can't plant them all, there are different seasons that you have to plant these seeds in. And the same goes for our business. We can't do certain strategies all year long. Certain strategies that we do are meant to be seasonal. So we have to be very careful about the type of strategies that we are planning. And then there are some strategies that can run all year long. Okay. But you should know that one strategy is just that, one strategy. When you run a business, you have multiple strategies. You have a strategy for the way you run your operations. You have a strategy for the way you serve your customers and your clients. You have a way for how you write your ebooks or do presentations or create your presentations, right? So you might have strategies for different things, strategy for the way you market your business, strategies for the way you use AI and incorporate it in your business. So there are a lot of strategies, but here's what you need to understand and know. Just because you're working, just because you're busy, it doesn't mean that you're planting the right type of seed. You're planting the right type of seed. That means you may not be planting the right type of strategy, right? Many women in business are doing a lot. They really are, but not seeing the results. That's one of the biggest things that I hear when I'm coaching other women is that I'm doing this, 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 and this, but I am not seeing the results. And it's not because, these women are not capable. It's not because they're not smart. It's not because they don't have what it takes, right? It's because they're putting their energy into the wrong strategy, the wrong areas. They're posting, but not strategically. They're working, but not profitably. They're busy, but not quite sure what they're busy on, right? And so God has showed me something very, very important about the harvest. He says, your harvest is directly connected to what you plant. Remember, when you reap the harvest, when you have a harvest, you can reap that harvest and you gain much from it, right? Listen up. If you plant seeds of confusion, you'll get inconsistent results, right? If one day you're planting information about you're a business coach, and the next day you are putting information out there that you do taxes, even though that might be okay. You might do taxes for business clients, right? But it's confusing. It's very confusing. But when you plant seeds of strategy, clarity, and intention, that's when things will begin to grow for you. So today we're going to shift from being busy, right? Let's make a commitment not to be busy, but to be strategic. Because guess what? A queen doesn't just work hard, she works smarter. So let's move on to point one. Point one is identify income producing activities. This is the first thing that you need to do for your business, right? Everything you do in your business is not equal, right? There's some activities that you have to hold off on. Now, as the CEO, I'm going to tell you, you guys know I'm getting ready to come with it. As the CEO, I'm going to tell you there are three things that you primarily have to be focused on at all times. What are those three things? Marketing, generating leads, and closing the sale. As the CEO, you're responsible for making sure that that happens in your business. Therefore, strategies have to be created for each of those, right? And then there are some business women that just keep busy, but they're busy doing a lot of administrative things, right? But you've got to learn how to create income producing activities. Let me give you an example of what some of those activities are. Making offers, following up with leads, hosting webinars, booking calls, and promoting your services. Those are just some examples. So income activities is anything that is going to allow you to do a call to action, better known as the CTA, that's going to allow you to do a call to action so that you can generate some leads. Once you generate leads, of course, there are other things that have to take place, like you have to create an email sequence so that you can nurture and stay in touch with individuals. If what you're doing is not leading to income, it should not be your priority. And I think that's where a lot of business women get in confusion at, right? Because they feel like, okay, well, I'm real busy and this is needed for my business. But what you haven't taken into consideration first and foremost is, what is your vision, let's say, for the quarter? What are the goals supporting that vision? And what are the tasks that are supporting that goal? And when you look at it from that perspective, that in and of itself can help you stay focused on what pays, right? What helps generate the income. Here's point 2. Eliminate busy work. Busy work does feel productive, I know, but have you ever been so busy and then by the time you got to the end of Friday, you realize you don't have any money to show for it, and then another week happens and the same thing occurs again, and before long you're at the end of the month and you haven't had any cash flowing through your business. You're not quite sure why you were busy being busy but no cash has flown through. That is, I must say, abnormal. You need to know that that is not the norm. That's not what should be happening. And what it's pointing to is the fact that there's something wrong in the strategy that is being used, right, to help you operate and grow your business, right? Here's what busy works looks like. Overposting without a strategy, constantly redesigning your website, writing articles, watching videos, but not implementing any of the videos. In other words, you're not even uploading them to, you're not implementing what you're learning, and then you're doing videos and not uploading them to YouTube. Doing tasks that don't lead to any type of results, right? That's very key. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too much of the wrong things. So you need to keep that in mind and understand that maybe sometimes you have to go back to the drawing table and you have to really go back and look at, okay, what's my business vision? What are the goals that support this vision? What are the tasks, the to-do items that support the goals so I can get them done, right? And so that's very key. If you're a Crown member, you're probably shaking your head right now because you know all too well that goal setting is very, very key for business women, because it helps you stay focused, it helps support the vision, and it helps you to know what you should be doing instead of what you might be doing, right? Very important. Activity does not equal productivity. That's the one thing that I have learned as I move forward in helping people to be better productive in their businesses. And, write that down because you need to remind yourself of that. Activity does not equal productivity. Here's point 3. Align your actions with your vision. Every seed you plant should literally support the vision, right? Ask yourself, does this activity move me closer to my goals? Does this support my business growth? Is it aligned with what I say that I want? Now, hopefully some of you are having an aha moment just with that statement, that question. Again, is it aligned with what I say I want? Okay, keep that in mind. Your vision hierarchy, those of you who are Crown Club members, you know what the vision hierarchy is. Vision, goals, task, right? In that order. And so without vision, without goals, without task, it's very, very difficult. You'll be moving all over the place, right? You'll feel like you're being torn and pulled in different directions because you have no clarity, you have no vision. So if the task doesn't support the goal, it doesn't belong. If the goal doesn't support the vision, it doesn't belong, right? Very important. Moving on to point 4, focus on 1 to 2 core strategies when you first start. You can't do a strategy for everything right now. You need to just start slowly with the most important things, right? Marketing, generating leads, and closing the sale. Let's start with those strategies, right? And then stay consistent with those strategies. And by the way, if you haven't had a power talk, write those strategies out and schedule a power talk with me so that we can go over and make sure that it's really supporting what it is you want to experience in the outcome, right? Now, here's some examples. You might work on a strategy for email marketing and your lead magnet or your offer, your value-added offer. You might work on a strategy for your social media and your video content. How am I going to get that up? How can it make myself easier? How do I incorporate AI to help me create my 30-day content calendar? Those are some of the things you need to be looking at. Networking plus connection calls, right? You know, this is one of the things that as women, we have a tendency to stay away from. But guess what? I've gone back to doing. I've gone back to doing the very thing that I used to teach about a lot, which was connection calls. That is, you got thousands of people who are following you, who are your friends on social media, but have you ever touched them or reached out to them? You can't expect for all of them to see your post. The algorithms are changing and they're not going to all see your post. So what do you need to do? You need to start reaching out and giving connection calls. That's where each of you share what you do, talk about commonalities, and discuss if they can use your service or if you can use theirs, right? So very important. So connection calls are important. So you might have a connection call strategy, right? When you spread yourself too thin, nothing is going to grow strong. So all of these things that I've been mentioning, consider them seeds that you are planting. But if you never go back to nurture those seeds in business, that means if you never go back to implement the strategy, if you never go back to hold yourself accountable, if you never go back to tweak it until it works, then you're not planting the right seed. You're not nurturing it. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is growing and blossoming into something beautiful, right? And here's point 5, take intentional daily action. Once you choose the seeds you're going to plant, the strategies you're going to create, that means showing up consistently, taking action even when you don't feel like it, and following it through. You know, I think as businesswomen, instead of making promises to ourselves, I think we need to make a pact. You know, Jesus had a pact with God. Right? He had a pact with God, and he wasn't going to turn away from sacrifice because that is what not only he had promised, but that was what he was purposed to do. He had a pact with God. And I think that we should have a pact with ourselves when it comes to business if we've created it, right? A pact is much stronger than a promise because a pact is your very being, your very existing. Your very existence is who you are. And when you make a pact, you go against yourself for sure, right? And so you don't want to do that. So be very careful about making a pact, because not only are you holding yourself accountable, but God is holding you accountable as well. And the last thing we want to do is sin against ourselves. So I do think some of us really need to sit down and look at, should I create a pact with myself about this? Should I look at, if I've got procrastination issues, should I look at what that is? Should I talk to Coach Trina about that so that she can get some resources out to me? So you guys think about that. Last but not least, I just want you guys to remember that seeds don't grow because you thought about them, right? Businesses don't flourish and generate money because you thought about them, or you, in your mind, you thought about all of the things you were going to do for your business, write a book, create a webinar, create a new product, do all of these different things. It's not going to happen just because you think about it. Yes, thinking about it is a gift in and of itself from God, but if you're not doing anything to take it out of your mind and transfer it onto paper, like we have been given an example of in Habakkuk 2:2, then guess what? Nothing is going to grow. Nothing is going to be nurtured. And guess what? It is moot point. It doesn't mean anything. Okay? You've got to remember that. So here's what I want you to remember. You don't need more time. You need the right strategy. And so this week, identify what produces income, eliminate what doesn't, focus your energy, and take swift and immediate action. You guys remember that definition of unshakable faith I talked about? Okay, it's that level of belief so deeply rooted in yourself that it compels you. It's like, you know how you get a good idea and you can't even sleep because it's so exciting. Okay, that's what compelling is. It compels you to take swift and immediate action on all that you dream of, on all that you envision, right? And so that's the type of action you need to take from unshakable faith. The belief is so important. And if you feel that you might be having some belief issues because there's no action happening for quite a while, and you know that you've got checklists, you've got all these things in place to help you get there, but you're not taking action, then yes, something else could be going on, and we need to talk about it. So schedule that power talk because that's very, very important. Last but not least, again, I want to thank Charlie McCracken, AI prompt engineer and all around technology expert. I want to thank her for blessing us today and being on the show. Again, Charlie and I are doing a AI for solopreneurs, female solopreneurs, which is coming up on May 20th. Okay, so you guys mark the date. You'll get further information about how you can register, but please mark the date, May 20th, 12 to 1:30 p.m. Okay, Charlie and Trina AI webinar. Just mark the date and put that in your planner so that nothing is going to interfere, because this is going to be some really good information that we are going to be giving you. Well, that's all I have for now. I want to thank all of you for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it. And, you know, again, we had a little technical glitch there, so I couldn't get, for those of you who are watching live, I couldn't get the presentation back up, but I did want you to have that information on planting the right seeds, planting the right strategies in your business. So I hope that you were taking notes and that you have enjoyed that. Last but not least, I want to remind you that God has given you the authority to be the queen of your empire, and that your empire is whatever you want to put into it. It can be business, real estate, investments, whatever you decide to put into it. But remember, you're responsible. So therefore, if God gave you the authority, he's expecting you to take action and to grow it. God the Father never looks at things needing to be stagnant. He wants you to grow each and every day. Have a blessed and beautiful, productive week, everybody. Bye-bye.